What's up, y'all? One Piece One Life here, and guys, 1 year on YouTube. I mean, it's been so long and so many things have been happening that I personally have just not given myself the time to acknowledge that I've been doing this for a year now. Now, I would say that my official launch was back in January because that was when I actually invested in myself and bought myself a mic, a camera, good lighting, so that I could make better quality videos. But the first video that I ever posted was September 20th of last year, which is about a month ago. And what was that video, you might be asking? My mink rumble ball theory. Now, as this is literally my very first video besides my channel intro video that I've ever made, and I was literally just starting this whole thing up, naturally, it's not gonna get that many views on it, and I don't think it got the love it deserved. I'm not blaming any of y'all, because I had maybe like 4 subs when I made that video. But I genuinely think that it's one of the best theories that I've ever crafted, and it makes a lot of sense. And so today, I'm just essentially gonna be remaking that video, updated with what my current thoughts about it are, and of course, my current channel standards. So this is gonna be the origin of races in One Piece explained. But first, guys, before I get into blowing your minds, like the video, subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content just like this, share it around with all your friends who love the series. Like we always say, let's get it going. And make sure you subscribe to me and my boys over at CSY. I promise you, we are the next coming of RDC. So, have you ever stopped and asked yourselves what the minks actually are? That's the question that I started asking myself after we saw in chapter 1081 the Blackbeard versus Law fight. So after seeing Law get packed up, my man Beppo ate a rumble ball that Chopper seemingly gave him, and then it forced a Sulong transformation out of him, which, might I just add, the anime just did very recently, and it was gorgeous. Not only was it really well animated in my opinion, but they literally gave him hands. They got my man doing handstand spinning kicks against a Yonko commander and sending them flying. Respect Beppo, even if you don't respect Law. So naturally, I was just a bit confused on how that could happen. And as I do whenever I don't immediately know something about my favorite series in the world, I look at the wiki, because I mean, it is Wikipedia, or I guess Wikipedia. How do y'all say it? But when I started reading, what really interested me was the wording. See, you would think just based off of what the minks actually are, that their description would be somewhere along the lines of anthropomorphic animals, right? But no, that's not what the wiki says. With the wiki, they specifically mentioned that minks are humanoids with mammalian features. You know who else humanoids with mammalian features as a descriptor may be talking about? The hybrid forms of devil fruit users. From here, I started thinking, okay, well, if the rumble ball works for Chopper because he has a devil fruit, what if Beppo is actually a human who ate a polar bear zone this whole time? Of course, I immediately refuted this because a whole huge plotline in Pedro's story is that Beppo's older brother Zeppo went with Pedro and got taken out by Big Mom. So obviously, if he has an established family, it's not gonna work. But then I started to think about it more. Okay, maybe it's not just Beppo. Maybe this would work for all the minks. And then an idea hit me. What if the reason that it works for all minks is because to some degree, all minks have a Zoan imprint in their lineage factor? So that's what led me to this theory, which is that all races in the world, especially minks as we'll be talking about, originated from some sort of animal or being that ate mythical human fruits. I know it sounds crazy, but just hear me out. So I imagine it may have happened something like this. Let's say a mammal that was the first of its kind ate some sort of mythical god type fruit, which allowed them to transform and take on a more human appearance while still retaining some of their animal features. Now imagine if that being procreates, every one of its kids, its grandkids, and so on, all having that gene, that changed gene from the devil fruit, which would allow them to also maybe be able to take on the more human form. And we all know from Vegapunk's own research that devil fruits have permanent change effects to one's lineage factor, because it's essentially the One Piece version of DNA. Your DNA is literally being changed. And we all know from just science that your DNA is going to go into your children. So I don't think it's that crazy to think that whoever those first progenitors were way back when they started mating and giving birth to more and more members of their clan or their family, it eventually spread out so wide that it could literally become a race of its own, with every subsequent member of that line still retaining that changed devil fruit gene in their lineage factor, thus giving them human-like appearances while still having mammalian features. Keep in mind, I'm talking about this happening like thousands and thousands of years ago, and it took that long for this thing to happen. Like, it wasn't just overnight, nowhere near void century times. So I think that's the reason that the Rumble Ball worked for Beppo, because when he ate it, it was forcing the Zoan part of him into an awakening. Now, one thing that this theory does is that it gives an explanation not only for how there are different races, but also how those different races seem to have powers that come from, well, we don't really know. For example, let's take the Mink's electro ability. Sure, science freaks may tell you that it's because of the static of their hair, but me personally, the way that they conduct electricity, it's too powerful and too creative to just be because of some static. But it would make sense if they all descended from a progenitor that ate a mythical god type fruit, maybe a variant that the god's abilities is control over electricity, like a mythical Zeus fruit or something. Maybe we see the same thing with the fishman, where their progenitor was one that ate maybe the mythical sea god fruit or the mythical Poseidon fruit, something like that. Then the best part of this explanation is that because we already have the existence of story specific gods like the sun god Nika, that means that Oda doesn't even need to be combing through our history to be looking for deities to insert. He could literally just create one in his story and it'll work in the context. Now, I don't know if this is a reach, but it also serves to parallel the story of Adam and Eve from the Bible, because at first it was only the two of them, and from there they were the progenitors of the human race. And I think it's interesting that in their story they had to eat some fruit. We all know Oda loves his connections to various religions. Christianity and the concept of God itself has been used in multiple arcs in the past. Skypiea, Dressrosa, Fishman Island. Now, it would mean that all Minks are related, but kind of in the same way that we as humans, we are all related, where it's so stretched far back that it's not like that. You know what I'm saying? It's a common ancestor stretching back literal thousands, maybe even millions of years. We don't know. Now, as I alluded to earlier, I did make this theory mostly with the Minks in mind, but when you look at other races in the One Piece world, it works for them too. Maybe the sky races are descended from a bird who ate a mythical fruit. Something similar could have happened with the long arms, the long legs, the dwarves, though admittedly this is harder to determine since these races actually look more humanoid than even animal-based ones. So who knows? But even then, I don't know. Who says that a human can't eat a mythical human fruit? Luffy did. Like, think about it, even with the giants. If a human ate the mythical giant fruit and then everyone who they had after that or was in their family line after that still had that giant gene, maybe that could have something to do with where the giants race started from. And now I know that the major hole in this theory is that,
well, just because you have a devil fruit doesn't mean that your kids are going to exhibit any residue power of that fruit.
And most people would probably point to Big Mom. She's had her fruit since she was a child, and she's been popping out kids. While most of them do have abilities now, these come from powers that they got from eating their own devil fruits after they were born. It's not like they have any soul power in them just because Big Mom has the soul fruit and is their mom. But the counter argument that I will give to this is that I just genuinely think that the Zoan class works different from other classes. I mean, just think about it. We already know from the Gorosei's conversations about the sun god fruit that it seems like Zoans to some extent have a will of their own that they're able to impose on others, and the changes that they make to the people that eat them are way more permanent. People really tend to embody the traits of their Zoan fruit. Just think Lucci, Jabra, hell, even Luffy himself when he goes Gear 5. So I think it's possible that Zoan fruits leave an imprint in your lineage factor that so significantly affects it that it can go on to be passed on. To cover my bases, I searched it up. The only person to both have a devil fruit and then have a child after having consumed said devil fruit is Kaido. Now, we don't know what's going up with his whole race in general, but what I can say is that Yamato does seem to have increased durability, strength, speed, all of that, which may be attributed to the fact that she has the lineage factor of a dragon. How much stock you take into the whole Oni ogre thing, that's kind of up to you. Now, the other plot hole that people may talk about is then, well, based off the information we're getting, it seems like we're being primed to be told that Joy Boy has a lot of these different races as members of his crew, and we know for a fact he definitely had relations with the mermaid princess. Well, like I said earlier, I don't think this is something that just started 800 years ago. Genuinely, this may have been happening for thousands upon thousands of years, like similar to our own evolution. That's just something that evolutionary happened. Now, we don't know exactly when devil fruits came into the picture, but we do know that the humans have been active since well beyond 5,000 years ago, since that's around where the age of heaven was happening. And Vegapunk also theorized, which means that Oda is telling us, that devil fruits came from human wishes and thought. With this in mind, devil fruits most definitely existed well before the Void Century. Now, like I said, this is my first theory. It was my baby. I cared for it, but that does not mean I think it is an absolute fact. I'm just on here to post a real cool idea, and hey, if it ends up being right, I can laugh at y'all. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you think that this is a likely source of the origin of races in One Piece? Or do you think that the races were always meant to be separate from the beginning? Let me know all that good stuff and more in the comments. So that's gonna be the video for this week, guys. But before y'all go, like the video, subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content every week, and share it around with all your friends who love One Piece or anime and manga in general, or theory videos. I wouldn't say I'm a theorist, but hey, if the shoe fits. Like I say, I'm trying to build a community, but I need y'all help to do it. So that's gonna be all from me. I'll catch y'all in the next one, and always remember, One Piece, one life. Now, y'all don't understand how much I love this theory. Hey, all I'm gonna say is, if this ends up being true and we can really trace ancestry of different races in One Piece back to devil fruits as origin, I will be paid in royalties. Y'all think I'm joking too. I'm dead serious. And also, please tell me how you say Wikipedia? Somebody help me out here.